Welcome back, everybody. I'm bored. COVID made me bored, and today I'm playing Dragon Ball Z, the card game, or trading card game. So this is a card game from Panini Games. I do not believe it's in print anymore or in production anymore. I think it's probably, let's see, when was this one? 2016. I don't think they had anything after this one. This was the last set. This is a starter box that I picked up. And it is a trading card game or a collectible card game. And like most trading card games, you can buy a starter deck to get you going. It comes with a set of cards that you need pre-constructed. And you can also buy booster packs as well as booster boxes to augment your deck. There's a lot of cards that help create synergy. You can also have character cards and all the different types of cards in this game. And you can customize your deck to try to make yourself the most powerful Dragon Ball Z character that you can be in tournament play. By all means, I am not a tournament play person. I have been getting any TCGs that you see me play, it's all casual. I just do it because I love the theme and I am intrigued by the gameplay mechanics, and I just flat out enjoy playing it. And I enjoy teaching it. I'm not a great teacher, but I enjoy teaching through playing, and with my nephews, that is the case. So I came across Dragon Ball Z TCG when I was looking at other old school TCGs that aren't in print anymore. So I've got Transformers, I've got, what is my other TCG that I have? I even got Teen Titans TCG. These old ones that are no longer in print, Metacross is something I just picked up as well, and I did a video on. So it's not in print anymore. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not here to collect them. I just enjoy just playing. So I saw my local game store had the starter decks from the Awakening series. I believe this is the last series of this trading card game. And the one before, I think it was Vengeance. I'm not 100% sure. But this is based on the Perfect Cell saga with sort of the tail end of the storyline where Gohan has basically surpassed everyone's level at his age, the chosen one, to obliterate Cell. And it was a long journey for him and a very difficult journey, losing family, loved ones, but he eventually came up on top to get through that battle. And so all these characters that you get in this Awakening series is, I believe, from that storyline. Although a lot of the artwork on it is not necessarily from that storyline. It looks like it's from the whole storyline of Dragon Ball Z. So I went out, it was cheap. I picked up 2 starters actually. And I think one of the things that I've been reading about in terms of the structure of these starter decks is that of the components you get, you have a base set of, I believe, 60 cards. Then you have a single card in the pre-constructed deck. You'll see that it's 70 cards. So you get 60, plus you get, I think, 5 or so foil reprints of those cards. And you get 5 additional cards. 4 of those cards are what's called your main personality. That is your character card. So that's what I have here represented by Trunks and over here with Goku. And your main personality, and you're only allowed 1 main personality in your deck, has 4 levels. And linked with them that you use is what's called your mastery. Your mastery is your style of fighting. And I believe there are 5 different masteries. They're represented by colors. So you have a black mastery, a blue, orange, red, Namekian, and Saiyan. So sorry, that's 6. And also something called freestyle, but that is not a mastery. It's just a non-styled card, which I'll explain in a minute. So with these starter decks, it's a rant out of this series. The starter decks had 6 different characters that you could potentially get in the starter deck. You don't know what you're getting. You don't know who you're getting. But there is one character with their 4 levels and a mastery that comes with them. So when I got the 2 starter decks, I actually got Trunks, which I think I'm lucky. Again, I'm not a competitive person. I don't know a whole history of this TCG, but from what I read, this Trunks character is a great character. And when I played with him the first few times, I actually thought, yeah, he is pretty good. And he comes with a mastery. Now, this is not the mastery that he came with. He actually came with the red mastery. This is the red Ascension mastery, and I can show you Trunks character. By the way, these personality cards, the 4 levels that you get, here are his 4 levels. So he has level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4. I've never seen this kind of foil treatment on a card before. They call this a high-tech foil card, completely different from all the other cards. The mastery, I believe, is the same treatment on it, and it is really, really nice. It is like completely foil, and it's very, very thick cardstock. Like, I'd say 3 times the thickness of your regular. So this is one's built to last. I kind of wish all cards were like this. And it's just really nice. I'll explain all the details on here later. So the starter comes with a main personality, came with a mastery, and its associated deck of cards, which would actually be this one. So this is the red deck. So all the cards in here match the mastery that was provided with this main personality. Does it mean you have to use this mastery with Trunks? No. This has just so happened to come with the starter set. And I think that's one of the gripes. The gripes is that you have no idea. If you wanted to get a particular character, I was aiming for Goku and Vegeta, and I got Trunks, and my other starter deck was Hercules, which I think a lot of people, there's a certain place in people's hearts for him, but not in mine. I was hoping for Gohan, Vegeta, Trunks, even Cell I'd be okay with. Piccolo, I don't think Piccolo's in this set, but I'd be okay if I got Piccolo too. But in the end, I ended up going out to get a 3rd starter deck, and I just so happened to get Goku. So I'm happy now. So I feel like this is, while it's not, they're supposed to be on the same side, at least it's a Saiyan versus a Saiyan. Having Trunks face off with Hercules is, I mean, seriously, what kind of chance does he have, right? Especially when Trunks has a sword. So to that end, I think that's one of the gripes about these starter decks. You just don't know what main personality you're going to get. And if you wanted specific personalities, you either have to sort of find them in single cards, buy them in singles if you can, which could be expensive, but at least you get what you need. But you also need your mastery and the deck of cards to go with it. So Goku came with the blue mastery, and Hercules came with the black mastery, which I'm not using. So the difference between masteries is there's some subtle differences. They all have similar card types, but the abilities, they tend to be a bit more, they have a bit more flavor. So from what I understand, blue mastery, or the blue style of fighting, is a bit more reserved, a bit more blocking, and that is sort of fitting with Goku. Goku is sort of a softie, whereas the red mastery is a bit more aggressive. And I would say, if anything, it makes sense it'd be Vegeta, but it came with Trunks. There's also the Saiyan mastery, which is a bit more aggressive, powerful and aggressive. So they each have their own style, and that makes sense. That is a style card. So it is your character's way of fighting. So the deck of cards that you get reflects that style of fighting. So the reason I've switched it is because, and maybe someone wants to post a comment if they've played this or they know it really well, is I find Trunks, he powers up excessively fast, to the point where one of the winning conditions is if you get to your 4th level and get to your 5th anger, you win. And every time I played with him with the red mastery, the guy flies through his anger like there's no tomorrow. And within not even getting through a 1/3 of his health, he's already won the game. So I'm trying this out right now, flipping it around. I'm going to give him a more reserved approach, and I'm going to give Goku sort of the anger. So he's gonna take that deck. in your deck of cards, you have several types. The first type would be, well, at least in the starter deck. I think in the booster boxes or booster packs you get, there are a few other types that I don't have here. So for example, allies. I don't have any allies. Allies are basically cards you can play. They're extra characters. They only have one level. As far as I know, they only have one level. And they help you out. They can take and defend and take hits for you, as well as they can issue attacks on your behalf as well. So one of the cards that you get, a typical card has a description, a title, the type of card, which is this one's a physical combat, and some text to explain what the attack is. The gameplay of this is very unique. It's very different from all the other TCGs I have, where you typically have an attack and then your opponent defends, and then you switch turns. That player has an opportunity to play his cards, attack, and then you defend. This is a little bit more interesting, where you're kind of going back and forth attacking simultaneously until the two of you decide to say, hey, I'm done. I pass, right? When you've run out of cards to play. It's very interesting. There is some power requirements for playing certain cards, and that's what the power level here is on the card. But aside from that, you can play any number of cards from your hand that allows you to play it. And then you're just going back and forth attacking until you call it quits. So it's interesting. So one of the cards here is a physical combat that you can play. You'll see that this has the two sort of cross swords for a physical attack, and it provides some ability. In terms of damage, I'll explain what the damage is afterwards. I would find the rule set to this a bit more involved than most trading card games, but it's not difficult. It's just a bit more involved to read through. Another type of card you have is called a setup, which you can play during your turn. And this is kind of a, it remains in play until you actually activate it. Once you activate it, you discard it. And it kind of gives you maybe a bonus attack or a special type of attack for your character, or maybe an extra powerful attack. The other type of card you have is an energy combat. And again, it has the two swords for depicting that this is a attack card. You have a drill card, which is kind of like a training card, like something that you've trained hard for, and it's usually a perpetual ongoing effect that takes place. So this one here, your opponent plays with his or hand revealed. And you have an event card, which has what's called a power, and I'll explain that as we go along. Power is one of the actions that you can do on your turn. So you'll notice that not only do I have, this is for Trunks, not only does Trunks choose a mastery, which is his fighting style, all his deck, or cards in his deck, will be of the matching color. One of the reasons why I chose a starter deck over just buying a booster box is, I was just getting into this game. I don't know, I've never really actually played it until now, so I don't know too much about it, and I would rather just start with a starter deck, because you need to build a deck around your mastery. So, for example, if I get a bunch of booster packs, and first of all, if I don't even have a mastery, then I can't even play. So I do need a mastery card. And if I had a bunch of red cards in my booster, or the other colors, and maybe a handful of blue ones, I can't even use the red, because the red only goes with the red mastery. So that's one of the things where I feel like a starter deck it's just easy to get into that way. I don't have to worry about buying a whole box and sorting through all the cards and trying to, create my deck for this mastery. So all the cards in Trunks's deck is blue, and they have the title here, blue. That is the named style of these cards, and named refers to the fact that, sorry, not named, this is a styled card. Sorry, my terminology is a little confusing here. So this is a styled card because my mastery is my style, and it is a blue mastery. So this is my style, and therefore all my styled cards, and it makes reference to it in the game, would be blue. There are some that are non-styled or freestyle cards, which has no color, it's just gray, and it just says confrontation or a title. There's no association to any particular style on the card. So during the gameplay, some cards refer to a styled or non-styled card, and that is the difference here. So that is the types of cards you get. And if we look at the character card here, this is your main personality, and again, you only have one. You will have his level indicated at the top left. He's at his first level, and you always start at your first level. You have your name and sort of a description or title under him. On the right side, you'll see he's got his card number. It's a starter set anyways, and you'll have a list of power levels. There's always 11 stages of power. These are your stages. The actual number doesn't matter. What matters is the stage that you're on. So out of the 11 stages you have, you would say, for example, you're at your 11th stage. So even though it's 225,000, you are in your 11th stage. What does matter about the number is when it comes to doing physical attacks, which will then compare your power level to the power level of your opponent. And based on that power comparison, will dictate the kind or the amount of damage you do. Damage is done through two ways. Damage could lower your power or lower your stages, and it can also lower life cards from your deck. Your deck not only represents the cards that you draw to play, but it also represents your life. The moment you run out of cards in your deck, you are out of life, and you lose the game. You'll also see on the bottom left here, sort of says 2, and then underneath it says PUR. I don't know if you can see that. That's your power up rating. So at the beginning of your turn, once you've played any cards that you can play, you would raise your power level up the number of stages indicated by this number. And as you increase in your character level, you can increase your power up rating. It also increases. So at the beginning of his turn, every turn, he goes up 2 levels. And he also has some ability. So here it has, whenever you raise your anger during combat, that amount is doubled. Anger is another piece that is tracked in terms of the game, where you raise your anger to a point where you can level up, and that's how you level up in this game. So as you level up, here's his second level. In addition to the graphic artwork, you'll see that his power up rating is increased. He has a little bit of different abilities. His power rating or stages has also increased, and I think this is also thematic. It's supposed to go along with, he is Super Saiyan right now, and I think he gets to the point of, Super Saiyan level 1.5, I can't remember all the subsets, but he gets to the point where his 4th level, he has a power-up rating of 5, he has some different text here, and he has, you can see that the values for each of his stages is significant, quite high. So when you start the game, you always start on level 1. In terms of the play area, the starter deck does come with a playmat. And the playmat indicates the different areas of the game board, where you would have your main personality. Let me get rid of this. You'd have your main personality, your life deck, your discard pile. You have an area for banished cards, and your card text will indicate whether or not cards get banished or not. If they're banished, they can no longer come back into play for whatever reason. Not that I've come across a situation where you can actually retrieve cards from your discard pile, but some of them do, and some of them actually make reference to the card types in the banished zone. You have your play area, which is where you play any of the cards you have or your attack cards. You have your mastery, where you would play, and you also have your anger level that you keep track of. Your anger level goes from 1 to 5. They have a 6 here only because there are some cards, or I guess some characters that they only go to the next level of their main personality if they reach anger of 6, but default is 5. So as you start at 0, and as you increase in your anger, once you get to 5, you immediately go to the next level of your main personality, and your anger level sets back to 0. During the game, your opponents and yourself can raise or lower your anger depending on your card effect. But I'm not going to use it. I might laminate it one day and just have it, sort of prepped and ready to go. I keep track of anger using some tokens. These are tokens from another Dragon Ball Z game I have. So I have 5 tokens here to keep track of Goku and Trunks. And when it comes to defense is a little bit interesting. I think it's best to start playing to give a sense of how the gameplay or the game flow works. I did a quick scan and print of the different icon meanings as well as the turn sequence and something called the attack table. This is where it matters when you're doing a physical attack. You need to make reference to this attack table where it does make reference to your power levels and the number it's associated with in terms of stages that you would lower if you are successful in attacking your opponent. So there's some additional rule play when it comes to attacking and defending, but I think the best thing to do is just to show you how it goes. But that's the bulk of it. You would assign or determine who the first player is, and that first player would draw 3 cards. The opponent, or the second player, would not draw any cards. And on your turn, so we're going to have Trunks go first. And I'm using this Dragon Ball token to keep me in check of whose turn it is. Because as you see through gameplay, it could easily be forgotten. So I'm going to put this marker here. Trunks is going to go first. He has his blue mastery, and the blue mastery here gives him ongoing effect, which is represented by this infinity symbol. Your attacks deal plus 1 life card of damage. He has an ability here, which is power. So on your turn, you can play drill cards, setup cards, and ally cards. I don't have any ally cards, so I can't show you that. But like I said, allies are extra characters that help you in your gameplay, and they remain on the play field until something gets rid of them, until something either removes them from play, or in the case of a setup card, once you've used the ability, then you have to discard it. The other thing you will do after you've played a card is you will determine whether or not you want to go into combat. Going into combat means you're declaring an attack, and once you do that, your opponent will draw 3 cards, and then you will be alternating back and forth, attack, defend, attack, defend, attack, and defend, until you both have decided that you want to pass. And once both players have passed, that combat ends, and you go into the stage of the discard step, where you discard any cards in your hand down to 1 or 0. Once you've done that, there is the option for a rejuvenation step, which is where if you did not enter combat, so if you didn't declare combat or you didn't declare an attack, the active player would then rejuvenate one of his cards. So he would take the top card from his discard pile and put it to the bottom of his life deck. And then the turn would get passed to your opponent. Obviously, this is a 2-player game. I think you could easily modify this to 3 or 4 players and just make some house rules to accommodate for that. But that's basically it. And during the attack, you'll be playing cards where you can do, I think, 1 action per combat, and that could be playing a attack card from your hand, or it could be using a power a keyword power from one of the cards in play in your area. So for example, this mastery card has a power, or you can pass. Those are your three options during combat. Excuse me. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to start with Trunks, and he draws 3 cards. Okay. So, I forgot to mention, one of the things too that I noticed is I have tokens to keep track of anger, but now I need something to keep track of their power levels. This is a second iteration of this game, I forgot to mention. There was a first, I guess, edition of Dragon Ball Z TCG produced by a company named Score, and I think they did sports cards too. I'm not 100% sure. I don't have it. I didn't bother picking that up because I figured I'd just go for the most recent edition. And what they provided was sort of a little plastic, I guess, slider to keep track of your levels, because you could use your mastery card and just cover as you gain. When you start the game, your players start at the 5th stage above 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he'd be starting at level 20,000. I tried this the first few games, and quite honestly, it's okay. Sometimes I end up knocking the mastery card, so it comes off, and it wasn't ideal. So I just created something really cheap and cheesy. I downloaded an image of I still have to redo this one. It's sort of a prototype. So what I did was I downloaded an image of a tracker, or the Scouter, Energy Scouter, and from Dragon Ball Z, and I just cut out sort of a slot in the eye, and I also created some slits, and that way I'm able to place it in, and I can slide this, and for the most part it stays in place. It's not going to fall off. So it's really cheap. It's not any fancy DIY, but at least it keeps the play card clean, and I'm able to slide up and down to navigate through my different levels. So he's going to start on 20,000, which is the 5th stage above 0, and Goku will also be the same. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's at 25,000, and he'll be there. Okay, so Trunks. During his turn, he can play any cards that he wants in terms of non-battle, non-combat cards. So he can play drills, he can play setups, and he can also play ally cards. So he just so happens to have a drill card, so he can play a drill card. And it has a perpetual ability. Your opponent plays with his or hand revealed. I think I forgot to shuffle, but that's okay. Yeah, you know what? I think I forgot to shuffle. That's why. Sorry, guys. Let me give a quick shuffle. No wonder I had the types of cards just sitting there. Okay, let's draw 3 again. 1, 2, 3. That'd be an unfair advantage for Trunks if it was a stacked deck. So he pulls out the 3 cards. And as you can see, I do not have any drills, setups, or allies, but I do have energy combat, physical combat, and another energy combat. You'll see that something I didn't show was a little defense symbol, which is I can play this during combat, and it stops a physical attack, as well as some additional abilities. You're also going to see something called endurance with a number. Endurance is important as you are revealing cards from your life deck when you're taking damage. Endurance allows you to negate additional damage by banishing the card from the discard pile. So, for example, if I'm losing, Goku does an attack on me, and as a result, I couldn't defend, and one of the damage consequences is I lose, say, 6 life cards. I would be flipping over 1 life card for each life card damage. So if it's 6 life cards, I'd be doing 1, 2, and then say 3. This is revealed. So at 3, I can choose to banish this card to prevent 3 additional cards of damage. So out of the 6 life cards that Goku issued to me, I could banish this, and my banished pile will be up here, and I don't have to discard any more cards because this is basically sort of a defense. And another aspect of this game is something called a critical hit or critical attack, which is if you manage to do more than five or more life cards of damage, you immediately gain what's called, I believe, critical damage. And that's when your opponent has discarded 5 or more life cards from a unstopped attack. And once that happens, you as the attacker have a choice, sort of like a bonus. You can capture a Dragon Ball. I didn't explain that here because I don't have the card. Another type of card is a Dragon Ball card that you can collect. Once you have 7 Dragon Balls, you win the game. So I think I also forgot the conditions in which you can win the game, so I'll go through that in just a minute. But continuing critical damage, so you can capture a Dragon Ball. You can also discard an opponent's ally that's in play, or you can lower your opponent's anger level. So I don't have any ally cards in either deck, nor do I have any Dragon Ball cards, because I believe those are only in booster packs. So at any time during the gameplay where I issue critical damage, I'm always going to attempt to lower my opponent's anger by 1. So just going back to the win conditions, you can win in one of 3 ways. You can win by reducing your opponent's life deck all the way down to 0. If you do that, then you've won. The other win condition, which I just mentioned in terms of having Dragon Balls, is you've collected all 7 Dragon Ball cards. And that would be Dragon Ball cards that are in your deck, or possibly you've collected from your opponent, provided that they are of the same type of Dragon Ball. And I honestly think that's a little confusing. I think there are Earth Dragon Balls and there are Namekian Dragon Balls. So if your opponent just so happened to have Earth Dragon Balls and you had Earth Dragon Balls and you did a couple critical damages and you took their Earth Dragon Balls, that counts. Once you get to 7, you win. The other way is if you reach your maximum anger level on your highest character level. So if Trunks is on level 4 and I'm keeping track of his anger with these tokens and he reaches anger level 5, there is no level 5 for him to go to, so he wins by most powerful player, I think is the term. I think that's what it's called. I'm just looking at the rule book right now. But yeah, reaching anger 5 on your highest main personality. And in my previous gameplays, Trunks with the red mastery, he just flew to level 4 anger 5 very quickly. Okay, so in any case, this was my hand. Okay, so I have no other cards. I can't play any drills. I have no setups. I then raise Trunks's stages 2 levels because that's his power up rating. He is now at his, I think, 8th stage or 9th stage at 75,000 power. Once that's done, my planning stage is over, and now I can declare an attack if I choose to. If I choose to attack, then we will move into the combat. If I choose not to attack, I go immediately into the discard, which I would discard down to 1 card or 0 cards in my hand, and I would go into the rejuvenation step, which if I had a discard pile, I would take the top card and place it into the bottom card of my life deck. So I'm going to declare an attack because obviously I want to show you how it works. Once I do that, there is a symbol here that it has a little lightning. It says an effect that may be used immediately whenever a condition is triggered. So first of all, once Trunks declares an attack, your opponent then draws 3 cards. So Goku's going to draw 3 cards. In his 3 cards, he's got that. He also has his power ability, which takes effect the moment that a trigger is satisfied. And in this case, use when entering combat, and he gets to draw a card. So we are entering combat, he gets to draw a card. So basically every time he initiates or combat is initiated, he will always get an opportunity to draw an extra card. So there you go. We're ready for combat. Because Trunks declared attack, he gets to go first. He gets to do one action, and that action could be, from his hand, play a combat card that has that double sword symbol, or he can use a card that has the power keyword on here. Another card he could have is an event card, which has, say for example, if I had a card in my hand that had the power keyword, I could use that. I can only do one. I can only take that one action. So Trunks is going to go ahead. We're just going to do an energy attack. So we're going to play this card. It's an energy attack. Actually, no, this is a bad example. Let's just use this one. This is an energy attack costing 3 stages. So again, your stages is your power level stage. So you would need to lower it by 3 stages. And then you have some additional abilities here, which is you would raise your anger 2 levels, and your damage that you'd be inflicting is 5 life cards to your opponent. There's a keyword here called hit. That means if your opponent did not defend, then that is considered a hit. Then you would trigger this additional bonus, which is raise or lower your opponent's anger 2 levels. So we're going to play this. So this would play in the field, into the play area. I would lower Trunks's 2, 3 power stages by 3. So now he is at 15,000. And I would raise my anger level 2. Now his ability, his perpetual ability on his character main personality card says whenever you raise your anger during combat, which I am, that amount is doubled. So instead of 2, he gets 4. So this is what I'm saying about him quickly leveling up. It's just crazy. So he's at 4 anger. He's just 1 anger away from going to his next level already. And I haven't even gotten past the first turn. So his attack has been declared and issued. Now it's Goku's turn to either defend or not defend the attack. So Goku looks at his cards and, oh, we have something here. We have the defense symbol on this energy combat that says stop an energy attack and raise your anger level 1. So we play this card, and again, that's his one action. He can play a card with a defense, or he can activate a power that defends if it is a defense action. He can't play an attack card because he is currently in a defense position. Once we do that, we stop the energy attack and we raise his anger 1. And we'll put that 1 token there. That stops the well, that doesn't end the combat, but that stops this particular attack. And they'll be flipping back and forth until each player says, I pass. So we'll discard this, we discard this, and now it's Goku's opportunity to attack back. So if you think about the way the anime would play out, you always have them attack, defend, attack, defend, attack, defend, attack, defend, and they're bouncing back and forth very, very quickly. It's the traditional anime style. So this is trying to mimic that. So even though it's Trunks' turn, he is the active player. In combat, they are going back and forth, back and forth. It's not just Trunks do an attack, Goku defends, and then we go through the next cycle of drawing cards. You keep on going with as many attacks as you can afford or can pay with your power until you both say, okay, combat over. So Goku has an option now. He has 3 energy attacks. He also has a power event card, which he can raise your anger 1 level. And for the remainder of combat, your opponent attacks deal -3 stages and -3 life cards of damage. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to start this off first. So you'll notice that it has, if you can read that, it says banish after use. So after I play this, I have to banish this into my banish zone. So I'm going to do that. I raise my anger 1 level. So he's at 2. For the remainder of combat, your opponent, his attacks deal -3 stages and -3 life cards. So I'm just going to put this, I will put this in the banish zone, but I'm just going to put this down for now to remind myself until combat is over. Okay, so that was his action. There was no attack. I just raised my anger, and I've put in this condition of -3 stages and -3 life cards of damage for Trunks. So now it's Trunks' turn. He can choose to attack. He can choose to pass. Those are his two options. So I'm going to do another energy attack on Goku. So I'm going to, the personality performing this attack may pay any amount of stages. For every 2 stages paid, this attack deals an additional 1 life card of damage. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to stick with the base damage of 4 life cards. So I issue the energy attack, and Goku, because of this ability, the attacks deal -3 stages. This is not a stage attack. And -3 life cards of damage. So instead of 4, it's just 1. And I do not have, Goku does not have a card to stop an energy attack. So this is successful. So instead of 4 life cards, I take 1 life card. So Goku is going to flip 1 card from his life deck into his discard. And that ends this particular attack. I'm still going to keep this in play because I want to remind myself that while we are in combat, this effect is still taking place. So now it's Goku's turn. Goku is going to go ahead, and now he's going to do an energy combat attack. Energy attack costing 1 stage. You may lower your anger 2 levels or lower your main personality 1 level. If you do either of them, your opponent cannot play non-styled cards this combat. So non-styled means anything other than something that says blue for his mastery. And this is 4 life cards of damage. So I'm going to play this attack. I'm not going to lower my anger level. I'm going to keep it the way it is, but I do need to pay the 1 stage of power for the cost. And it is going to be 4 life cards of damage. Trunks looks at his hand, and he has the only card of defense that he has, but this is a stop a physical attack. This is an energy attack, and therefore Trunks cannot stop it, and he is going to have to discard 4 life cards. So we discard 1, and as we do that, we have an endurance of 1, which means I can banish this to stop a second life card of damage. So this was the first life card of damage. I banish this for the second life card, which means I have 2 left. Oh, I have another one of endurance. I can banish this to prevent that last life card of damage. So that's it. So instead of 4 life cards, I've only lost 2 life cards, but I've had to banish these cards out. Not terrible, but that's the point of endurance. So we discard this, and now it is Trunks. It's his turn. Trunks only has a physical attack left. He does have a power on his mastery that he can still use. One of the challenges here is keeping track of all the powers that you use, because you can only use them once per combat. So once it's done, once I use this particular power on this mastery card, I can't use it again during the course of this particular combat. So this one is discard a styled card from your hand to draw a card and prevent 4 stages and 4 life cards of damage from your opponent's next attack. I'm going to do that. So I'm going to discard a styled card. This is a styled card because it's blue. I'm going to discard that into my pile. I draw a card. And now, because of that, I prevent 4 stages and 4 life cards of damage from my opponent's next attack during this combat. So that was Trunks' action. Now it's Goku's option. And, we'll just go ahead. We're going to do energy attack, costing 2 stages. You may choose for this attack to deal no damage to lower your main personality 1 personality level. I'm not exactly sure why you would do that. Maybe you want to go back to gaining whatever previous level, the special ability, but I'm not going to do that, and I have to banish this card after use, and it deals 6 life cards of damage, so I do that. Trunks does not have anything to prevent it from stopping the energy attack, but he does have this event card where he can use the power to prevent 3 life cards and 3 stages of damage from an attack, but this can only be done, I think, on his actual turn where he can play a power card. So But because of his mastery ability, he reduces 4 life cards. I prevent 4 life cards of damage, so out of the 6, only 2. So he's going to flip over 1 and flip over 2. Now, when I flipped over 2, I'm only taking 2 cards of life from my deck. There would be no point to banish this card, because you never know if there's an ability that allows me to retrieve this card back. So I'm not going to banish that. So that was 2 life cards, and that's it. And it becomes Trunks' turn. He is, well, Goku doesn't have any more cards left. So highly unlikely that he can attack again. So Trunks chooses to pass. I pass that turn, so it goes to Goku. And Goku can, if he wants to, he can, well, he can't do anything anymore because he has no more cards left. So he chooses to pass. Now the combat has finished because both characters or both players have passed their turn during combat. That ends the combat phase. So I'm going to put this in the discard pile. Sorry, I'm going to put this in the banish pile, and I'm going to put this in the banish pile because I forgot to do that, and I don't know if there's anything else. No. So we now go into the discard step, where each player discards cards from their hand until they only have 1 or 0 cards. So I think Trunks will hold on to this card. So he has 1. Goku didn't have any to begin with. That ends this particular turn. So now it's going to be Goku's turn. So that's why I'm going to move this marker over to Goku, and he's going to draw 3 cards. So as you're playing cards, especially when you begin combat, you know, I'm not the quickest player, and my mind isn't as sharp as it used to be. So for me, I found that it was easy to forget who the active player was. So that's why I decided I need a token or something to remind myself who the current active player is, so that when the turn sequence is over, I know who the next player is, who's supposed to be going. So Goku draws his cards. He doesn't have a setup or a drill to play, so he's going to raise his stages by 2 because that is his power-up rating. So he's at 50,000. And this, I kind of wish I had an example of a physical attack, because that's one of the things that would be important here. So I'm just going to go through one more playthrough of this, but I would really like to show you what a physical attack looks like that actually uses the attack table, because I think that's the only thing I'm missing from here. But we'll do this anyways. So Goku has raised his stage. He's ready to go past his planning step into the combat step. Is he going to? Sure. I declare combat. So the moment I declare combat, Goku's ability allows him to draw an extra card. And right away, the opponent, Trunks, gets to draw 3 cards. Okay, including the card that he held from the last one. And you'll see he's pulled a setup card, completely useless during a combat. But we have a few options here. Okay, so because Goku is the active player, he gets to make the first combat action. And the first combat action, because I want to show you, is this physical combat. And it's a physical attack costing 4 stages. It's not often that a physical attack requires stages. Usually it's an energy attack that requires you to lower your stage power stages. And physical attacks, typically they don't have that, but this is unique. So it's going to cost me 4 stages, but it's going to raise my anger 2 levels. And you'll see that damage says here, it says damage AT plus 4 stages. So AT is where you are referring to the attack table. And you'll be comparing the attacker's power level to the defender's power level and determining how many stages of power you are reducing them by for the defender. So we'll just put that in play. And I raise my anger 2 levels. So he's at 4. I'm going to look at my hand for Trunks, and I see that he does have a card that says you may play this card to stop a physical attack instead of using this card as an attack. So I could do that. So I could stop a physical attack, but I'm not going to, because I want to show you what happens here. So let's just say Trunks can't defend this attack. It is a successful attack that's going to hit him, and it's going to lower him by a certain number of stages in terms of his power. So at this stage, or at this point, we're going to compare Goku's power level to Trunks' power level. Goku is currently at 50,000 power. Trunks is at 15,000 power as a defender. So the first thing you'll do is look at their attack table and look at what grade they are based on their power level. So Goku is at 50,000, which puts him into the C grade. If we look at Trunks, he's at 15,000, which puts him also in the C grade, because the C grade is from a range of 10,000 to 999,999. So it's C all the way to C, which means that is one stage attack. So based on that table, it would be one stage plus the damage that indicates on the card. The attack table gave me 1 plus 4 stages. That is 5 stages. Now, one thing I forgot to do during Goku's attack is his ongoing ability, which is your attacks also deal plus 1 life card of damage. So for all the damage that I did, it would have been plus 1, but that's okay. My mistake. So for this attack, it's 5 stages of damage plus 1 life card of damage. So we're going to lower Trunks, his power stage, by 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So once I get to 4, I'm already at 0. I can't go below 0. So whenever you reach a point where the number of stages that you're reducing your opponent by cannot go below 0, you then take it out of their life. So I moved it down 4, which means I have 1 more stage to reduce him by, but I can't. So it's going to come off the top of his life deck. So I discard 1. That's the 5th stage. And then on top of that, Goku's ability says you get to do plus 1 life card of damage. So this one gets discarded as well. So that was 2 cards off of his life deck as a result of this physical attack. Now I know that I could have defended it by playing this card, but in terms of this example, we will pretend that he was unable to successfully block it. So that ends that attack. And now it goes to Trunks for his opportunity to do an attack. He wants to play this energy attack, but this is an energy attack that costs 2 stages of power. He is currently at 0, so he cannot afford to play this card. And there is a certain balance between gaining your power, gaining power stages, and spending energy to do attacks while you want to keep some power stages in the event of during your defensive turns that you want to be able to save it for those purposes, because you don't want all your energy down to 0, and the next thing you know, if your opponent does a physical attack which lowers by X number of stages, you have no stages to afford, and it comes right out of your life deck. So I don't have, I do. Perfect. So Trunks has a physical attack, doesn't require any stages. You banish an opponent's setup, drill, or ally in play, and the damage is the attack table stages. So this is not going to do him very much because there's no bonus here. If I were to play this card and I look at my attack table, Trunks is currently 0 as the attacker, which puts him in the grade A. Goku is at 50,000, which puts him into grade C, and therefore he gets 0. So no stages. So there's no point. There's no point playing this. So instead, I might just play this card, which is prevent 3 life cards and 3 stages of damage from an attack. So this is what Trunks is going to play, and he gets to draw a card into his hand, and that's the end of his combat action. Now it's up to Goku. Goku can do another attack if he wants to, and he will. So he's going to do a physical attack. A physical attack, you raise your anger by 1 level, you look at the top 3 cards of your discard pile and banish any amount of them. The damage is 3 stages, and if you hit, you banish any amount of cards from your discard pile, and you banish this card after use. So I'm going to play that. I raise my anger by 1, and that gives me to 5. So right away, I level up. So I'm going to take my main personality card, put it aside. I grab the next level, and I put him on the highest power stage. 1.2 million, just like that. So his power up rating has changed and increased to 3. He has a few additional bonuses, plus a power action that he can perform during his combat step. So he's doing a physical attack, and it's 3 stages, and his ability is plus 1 life card of damage, and your opponent's attacks deal minus 1 life card. So Trunks is going to look at his hand. Can he stop a physical attack? And he's going to play that card. He's going to play this card to stop a physical attack. Okay? And that's it. I still keep this in play because I'm preventing 3 life cards and 3 stages of damage from an attack. It doesn't say from the next attack, it just says from an attack. So I can use that for a future attack from Goku. So now it's Trunks' turn, and I have a physical attack, but I can't use that because I have no stages, and that's pretty much it. I'm not going to do much else. So Trunks will say, I pass. So Goku has an option. He can do an attack. He's going to do that. He's going to do an energy attack costing 1 stage. I go down 1 stage. You may lower your anger level 1 and draw a card. His anger level is currently at 0, and it is 3 life cards of damage plus the additional life card because of his ability. So it's 4 life cards of damage. Sorry, I was supposed to banish this. So Trunks can't stop it, but he has this in play, which is prevent 3 life cards and 3 stages of damage. So I'm going to put that in discard pile, and instead of 4, he takes 1 life card of damage. Right there. Okay. So now it's Trunks' turn. Trunks is once again going to pass. And it goes back to Goku. Goku is going to use his power ability on his mastery. Banish the top card of your life deck to raise your anger 1 level. If you banish a styled card, your opponent skips his or her action this combat. So I'm going to banish. It is a styled card, so I gain 1 anger. And I skip Trunks his action in this combat, so it comes back to me or Goku. And I think that's it. Goku's going to pass. Trunks is going to pass. The combat is now over. So you see how it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then to the point where you have no more actions that you can take during combat, and so the combat phase ends. So we go into the discard step where we're going to discard, and I'm going to discard down to 1. So I discard these 2 cards. Goku will go ahead and hold on to that card. And now we pass the active player token to Trunks, who's going to draw 3 cards. Okay, so the game can, depending on how you're playing and how well you can defend or attack. When I played with Trunks using red mastery, he flew right through to his anger levels and it was over before his opponent knew it. But I've switched masteries around. This seems actually a bit more balanced. And that is basically how Dragon Ball Z, the card game, works. For here, I'll just quickly continue. Trunks gets to play a setup. So that setup, once I use this during a combat, I would discard it. So there you go. I like the theme. I like the way the gameplay and the battle of the combat works between the players. You're attacking, defending, playing cards from your hand, and trying to beat down your opponent quickly, effectively, while also trying to raise your anger. So I like that there's multiple things going on here. It can be a little daunting. I think the first time I played this, I really had to refer to the rulebook. The rulebook is not terrible. I think it actually does a really good job explaining your endurance, explaining your anger, explaining the stages of your power, how to use them. The cards all have well-written text to describe exactly what happens. When you're defending and drawing from your life card, it's pretty straightforward. I think one of the challenges is when I'm discarding and I'm trying to keep track of the number of endurance cards that I've drawn. You still have to keep track of the total number of life cards that were discarded so that you know whether or not it was a critical hit. I can see how the attack table, it's a little cumbersome, always having to make reference to it. So if there was any criticism of this game, I would say that the attack table is kind of where you've got kind of a slowdown. You know, I'm doing a physical attack. Okay, let me check my stage. Oh, what's your stage? Okay, yeah, sure. It takes, 15 seconds? But that's 15 seconds every physical attack. And then between each player. And then that can kind of slow the game down. So there are a lot of parts here that I can see might drag a little, but it doesn't bother me. I like it. And if anything, I really like these cards. The main personality cards. They're beautiful. They're by far the best cards I've ever had or received in a trading card game. Even better than what I think of the Transformer cards that I have. So there you go. That was Dragon Ball Z trading card game. This was from the Awakening series with the 2 starter decks that I have. And I hope you enjoyed the playthrough and the gameplay of this game. Thanks for joining me. Until next time, stay bored.